Hey! You know, I really miss playing kart racers. When I started the channel, I was way more focused on those. Not because I wanted to make a channel about racing games. In fact, I try my best to push my content away from it so I don't get stuck with only one type of content. But because I always loved racing games, and those simply fit the weird nostalgia videos perfectly. Racing games that no one cared about because they were mediocre at best. That's my jam. As you guys know by now, growing up in Brazil meant that I was exposed to piracy a lot more than most of you would ever imagine. Pirated games were more popular in Brazil than owning copies, to the point that it was basically unknown to have a friend that paid for an original copy. I mean, why would anyone do that, right? It costed 1/3 of the minimum wage, and you could buy any game for 10 bucks at the end of your block. But anyway, like I said before, that also made so I ended up with a lot of shovelware and mediocre games, because there was no quality control on what was or wasn't good. The best you get would be hearing from a friend that some game was so awesome that everyone needed to play it. But that also made me a big fan of Crash of the Titans, so you might not see that as a good thing. However, that also meant that I got to play a lot of games that you might never even heard of. You know the Bomberman video I made the other week? Maybe not, because not a lot of people care about Bomberman now, but we're not only talking about Bomberman, but 2 Bomberman racing games. So buckle up, get yourself a treat, and let us talk about Bomberman Fantasy Race. This one is one of my childhood favorites, and I'll already break it down for you. It's probably not for most people, but let's just take one step at a time. You start by selecting who you're gonna play as. You can pick between 6 characters, including Bagura, Mech Bomber 015, which is apparently from Saturn Bomberman and later got into the Bomberman Jetters anime, and a super cool Bomberman made for this game called Mech Bomber. If you're a fan of racing in general, or you're from Brazil, you can probably tell who this is. I gotta say, I played this game my entire life and never really noticed that this is exactly Ayrton Senna, our Brazilian god who used to be a Formula 1 driver. I know Japanese people used to love him a lot too, and it's really heartwarming to see a homage to him in this game. You get a cutscene of white and black Bomberman going to a space station, and a compilation of racing animations. I am pretty sure this game has no story attached to it though. You only race for the sake of it and there's nothing really at stake. Besides money. You have your main menu where you can select your mode, go to the bank where you can exchange your currency, but I never really found a use for it. And also go to the stable, where you can buy different Louis and Tiras. They have basically the same purpose, with a small difference that I'll explain later in the gameplay section. Getting to the single player, you get to pick your partner and buy some items. These can be bought before the races to help you in different ways. You get to the map and at first you only have one race, the Bomber Circuit. Now, let me explain something to you real quick. The way this game works is different than you might expect from other kart racers. Instead of having to press the gas when the green light goes on, you can move around as much as you like as soon as you get into the race. You then have to do your best to get a good timing of when to start running to get a head start. However, if you mistime it, you get a warning for it. If you mistime it 3 times, you'll get a penalty start and won't be able to move until the light goes green. It is actually pretty awesome the depth this game has for a simple kart racer. You can press X to go forward, and if you press up on the D-pad, you make your partner run faster. But he also has a stamina bar that you have to manage. Run too much and he'll get too tired, making you unable to sprint until his stamina goes up again. They also gave the partners some charisma having their reactions on the screen. They will be happy to run around, force themselves to run faster, push themselves to the max, and yeah, it's even worse if you pick a Tira. This being Bomberman, of course, you have the bombs. You can throw them at any time and it's the most basic mechanic of the game. You tap square to throw a bomb behind you and hold it to charge it and throw it forwards. Hitting an enemy will make so they lose whatever item they have at the time. You can also time it to throw it just a bit ahead of you to make the explosion push you forward, which seems to be its speedrun mechanic for this game. I'm really bad at timing this though. They can also be used in some parts to activate hazards, like these palm trees that have bombs on them. See an enemy ahead of you? Throw a bomb at the palm trees and they'll throw bombs to stun your enemy. Trust me though, it's way harder than it seems. You have a lot of items too. I won't get into every single one of them, but you have your rocket bomb, which targets the player ahead of you, the clock, which makes the time stop for a few seconds, the wings, which I really hate, because it makes you stay in the air for way longer. And I know it can be used for some shortcuts, but There's also hazard items, like the down shoes, which makes you slower, the skull, which give you different effects like forcing you to throw bombs non-stop or throw them at max strength, and another one that makes your Louis stop to poop. The controls are probably not what you expect too, being very floaty as you're not controlling a cart but a living creature. And no, I am not talking about your mom. You can also press circle to jump. There are hazards to avoid and pads on some of the walls where you have to time another circle press to get a boost in speed. Sometimes these are also chained, and you better not mistime it if you're going for it, or you might poop. You also have these items that are separated from the random ones. They have different effects depending on your partner, so if you're using a Louis, you get a speed boost for a few seconds, which can be chained with more eggs. And if you're using a Tira, you get immunity to bombs, which can also be chained together. Tiras and Louis do have different stats, but I don't think you can see these in the game. I had to look it up on the internet, and it also depends on the version you're playing. For some reason, when porting this game to the US, a lot of changes to stats and currency have been made. Buying new partners from the stable became more expensive, and so did the tickets to enter new races. And yes, you have to buy different tickets to race. Every race gives you a different amount of money depending on your placement. And to join another race, you have to pay for your entry. After you finish a race, you also get a bonus level where you can collect coins and get more money. One downside of this game is that there's only 8 races. After you beat the game, you do unlock a different campaign where you have to play all the races backwards, but still, that's 8 races. Even as a kid, I remember being a bit let down by how quickly you can finish this game. The graphics are alright, you won't see anything spectacular here, but the art style definitely has a lot of character to it. Oh, and you can also play in first person if you want. Like I said in my other video, the music in Bomberman games is never bad, and this isn't an exception to that. If there's anything I can say, it's that it's a bit too much compressed at times, but nothing that will take away your enjoyment from it. Overall, this is a great game, and truly an underrated one. I never see anyone talking about this game, and even the wiki page for it is dead, which is a shame. If you like kart racers and this seems up your alley, I highly recommend that you get yourself a copy and tell me how you feel about it. I would love to see more opinions on it from people that haven't played this one before. And so, I was extremely hyped for another game, Bomberman Kart on the PS2. I know there's 2 versions of this game, one called Bomberman Kart DX, but it was only released in Japan and I don't speak Japanese. But from the gameplay I saw, it's not too much different from what I played. It is basically an updated version of the same game with a bit more content. You start with a cutscene of various different Bombermen racing on the track, and some weird zooms and this is not gonna be good, is it? You can select between 5 different Bombermans: white, black, red, gold and pink. After that, you can also pick from different carts and start racing. Yeah, so you will not see me boost at the beginning at any time on this video. I could not figure out what I had to do to get a boost. I will tell you this, coming from Fantasy Race, this is not what I was expecting. It is not what anyone would expect, really. You have to brake before turns, get a good racing line. It's weird. You have your basic items like the green and red shells, which are these shark looking things. Bombs now are also randomized items and can only be thrown backwards like a banana peel, a turbo, and etc. I think there might just be one or two more items besides these ones. One thing I liked about the game were the levels. They seem to take place in various different worlds like the Bomberman games. Some of them look really ugly, but from the most part, the ones I played were fine. The wiki for this game says there are only 8 levels, but the game is separated by tournaments and each has 4 levels. And look how many of them are. And no, I didn't force myself to play more than 3 tournaments in this one. After I finished the 3rd one, I came back the other day to continue playing, but I noticed I didn't save the game. So in the end, I gave up on it. I'm guessing it repeats a lot of the levels in the other tournaments, but if there's really 8 levels, you already know how I feel about it. I think that if you really want to play this game, you should maybe try to get the DX version. Everywhere I looked, it said that it's the same game but with more content, so if for some reason your dream is to play this one, I would advise you throwing your PlayStation 2 out of the window. They also added a Bomberman game mode called Bomberman, which I find very creative. It's your basic Bomberman game which looks really good but plays like crap. You have a lot of delaying in whatever button you press and it makes even normal Bomberman a very bad experience. Stay away from this one if you never played Bomberman. There are way better versions for you to play. Overall, this game gave me level 3 depression and a whole bunch of sleepless nights. I went in expecting something new and awesome and came out crying. But yeah, I guess that's it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. It really helps me a lot. And as always, a huge thank you for our new members, Valak and Jason Bone. Being a member is truly the best way you can support the channel, so really, thank you so much. And yeah, I see you in the next one. Take care! I swear to God, do not play the second game. You better not play the second game. I swear, do not play the second game.